everyone, I am Dr. Ekta. In my last video, I have discussed GPCR, and today I will be discussing another class of receptor, that is tyrosine kinase receptor. Let us first understand what is tyrosine kinase receptor. Tyrosine kinase receptor is a cell surface receptor, just like GPCR, having three domains. Extracellular ligand binding domain, where a ligand would come and bind to the receptor. Transmembrane domain, and a cytosolic domain with a kinase activity. Unlike GPCR, which were having 7 transmembrane alpha helices, these receptors have a single transmembrane alpha helix. And these receptors are activated by ligands which include epidermal growth factor, neural growth factor, platelet derived growth factor, fibroblast growth factor, and insulin. Please remember, these are the ligands which activated by tyrosine kinase receptor. These are frequently being asked in your exams. So these receptors are present in the monomeric form in the absence of ligand. But when a growth factor or a ligand comes in, it leads to the receptor dimerization, which then activates the kinase domain of the cytosolic part and thus lead to autophosphorylation at tyrosine residue in the cytosolic domain. And once tyrosine residues have been phosphorylated, it creates a binding site for the downstream molecule. Such downstream molecule then bind to the phosphotyrosine site and then initiate the downstream signaling. One such downstream molecule I would like to discuss is phospholipase. This phospholipase is recruited to the phosphotyrosine site and leads to its activation. And once this phospholipase is activated, it would hydrolyze a membrane lipid PIP2 or phosphatidyl inositol 4,5-bisphosphate into two molecules, IP3 and DAG. IP3 is a soluble molecule called inositol 1,4,5-triphosphate. DAG, that is 1,2-diacylglycerol, remains bound to the membrane. This isoform of phospholipase get activated through the protein tyrosine kinase. This isoform is the gamma isoform. We have another isoform, that is phospholipase beta, which is activated through GPCR. Please remember, the difference between the two isoforms is the receptor. The gamma form has tyrosine kinase receptor and the beta form has GPCR. But the reaction catalyzed by this phospholipase is same. It would hydrolyze PIP2 into IP3 and DAG. And once phospholipase has hydrolyzed PIP2 into IP3 and DAG, IP3 would lead to release of calcium ions from the endoplasmic reticulum, and DAG, that is diacylglycerol, would activate another protein kinase C, which would lead to the phosphorylation of the downstream signaling molecule. So this is how the IP3 and DAG leads to release of calcium from the endoplasmic reticulum, and calcium is a second messenger in the signal transduction. Another receptor which is similar to the tyrosine kinase receptor is non-receptor tyrosine kinase, or I would say cytokine receptor. It is similar by having three domains just like tyrosine kinase receptor: extracellular domain, ligand binding domain, transmembrane domain, and a cytosolic domain. The difference is that the tyrosine kinase activity is not present in these receptors. So they cannot phosphorylate the tyrosine residue. Instead, they are associated with the non-receptor tyrosine kinase. Upon binding or the cytokine binding, the receptor dimerizes, which lead to cross phosphorylation of the non-receptor kinases, and which then phosphorylate the tyrosine residue present on the receptor. So once the tyrosine has been phosphorylated, they can recruit the downstream signaling molecule just like the tyrosine kinase receptor. So they work similarly, except that the cytosolic domain does not have the kinase activity, but they are associated with the non-receptor tyrosine kinase. So let's see a question which says, in a type of signal transduction pathway, ligand binding to a receptor trigger activation of receptor associated kinases. This kinase can be intrinsic part of the receptor protein or tightly bound to the receptor. So we have seen when it is having the kinase activity and when it is not having the kinase activity and is associated with another non-receptor receptor in which tyrosine kinase is an intrinsic part of its polypeptide chain are called receptor tyrosine kinase or RTK. Which of the following statement regarding RTK is incorrect? The option says, first, all RTK have three essential components: extracellular domain containing ligand binding site, transmembrane domain, and a cytoplasmic segment that includes a domain with protein tyrosine kinase activity. Yes, it is true. We have seen all tyrosine kinase receptor have three domain: ligand binding, transmembrane, and the cytosolic kinase domain. So this is correct. Most RTKs are monomeric, and ligand binding to the extracellular domain include formation of receptor dimer. Yes, initially they are monomeric, but ligand binding leads to the dimerization. So second option is also correct. Third, all cytokine receptor belong to RTKs, and cytokine binding activate tyrosine kinase and receptor dimerization. This is incorrect because the cytokine receptor are different from the RTKs as they do not have the tyrosine kinase activity in them but are associated with non-receptor kinases. So the third statement is incorrect. Let's see fourth option, which says ligand binding to RTK lead to autophosphorylation of the protein kinase in the cytoplasmic domain. The activated kinase then phosphorylate several tyrosine residue in the receptor cytoplasmic domain. This is also correct because this is how a ligand binding leads to dimerization and then to the autophosphorylation, and which create tyrosine site for the downstream molecule. So the fourth option is also correct. So the correct answer is the third option. Another question which says epidermal growth factor is a need for growth of almost all cells. EGF is a transmembrane protein having extracellular ligand binding domain, transmembrane domain, and a cytosolic domain of protein tyrosine kinase. Binding of EGF to the receptor activate PTK, resulting in activation of transcription factors through intercellular transducer. In a cell type A, much of the extracellular ligand binding domain is deleted by a protease such that cytosolic domain of PTK become constitutively active. So what happened in cell type A, the EGF receptor extracellular domain is deleted, due to which it is active, the receptor is active irrespective of the presence of EGF. Whereas cell type B is having a normal EGF receptor. So normal EGF receptor would have the three domain. What will be the best fit graph for the culture of cell type A and B in complete media in the presence and absence of EGF? Okay, so we have a graph over here between the number of cells and time and in the presence and absence of EGF. So let's see what happens when you have a normal receptor. So this is a type B normal receptor where EGF would bind and leads to its activation. So for the normal receptor, you should have increased number of cell in the presence of EGF, whereas when EGF is not there, the number of cell should not increase. And when your extracellular domain is deleted, that is the type A cell where the extracellular domain is deleted, here EGF cannot bind. So which due to which the receptor would remain constitutively active. So even if EGF is not there, the number of cell would increase. So in case of type A cell, you would have increased number of cell in the presence and absence of EGF, but in case of normal cell, in the presence of EGF, you would see increase in the number of cell, but in the absence of EGF, you won't see increased number of cell. So in this case, the answer would be first, where in the cell type A, in the presence or absence of EGF, number of cells are increasing. But in case of cell B, the increase of number of cell is seen only in the presence of EGF. But in the absence of EGF, the number of cells is not increasing. So the correct answer is option first. Another question which says, in a signaling event, binding of extracellular ligand activity GPCR that eventually activate phospholipase beta. Remember, beta is GPCR and gamma is tyrosine kinase. Which one of the following statement truly reflect the function of phospholipase beta? So we have just seen right now that the function is similar, that it would convert PIP2 into IP3 and DAG, but one would be activated through tyrosine kinase and the other would be activated through GPCR. So the option says it convert PIP3 to PIP2, second PIP4 to PIP452, third PIP45 to DAG and IP3, fourth converts PIP5 to PIP2. So we know the correct answer is option third, where it converts phosphatidyl 4,5 bisphosphate to 1,2-diacylglycerol and inositol 1,4,5 phosphate.